and we have a lot to discuss about this Golden State Warriors team who have quietly won 3 in a row, who have quietly won 6 in a row at Chase Center, who quietly last night were getting blown out the gym in the second quarter. You get a 15-2 run yesterday spurred by Jonathan Kuminga. And then in the fourth quarter, going in there down 11. You're down 17 late in the third quarter. It is looking like, oh, boy, Boston's legit. Boston's going to run them off the floor. And Chris Paul hits a couple buckets at the end of the third quarter. Then you get into the fourth. You get a Corey Joseph shot. I know everybody's saying, no. He spins back into the defense, hits one off the backboard. And then Clay. And then Steph. And then TJD. He's no longer Baby T. I know Klay Thompson said last night that he's Trace Jr. You know what? He's just TJD, the son of Dale Davis. This guy is a baller. All right? He's going to play a lot coming down the stretch here, going into the new year. He's coming off the game against Portland, 14 points, 8 rebounds, a career high in points, career high in assists, and he helped stabilize that game. And think about how he got his opportunity in that Portland game. Shard's gotten in foul trouble. So Curry had to get somebody off the bench. Looney doesn't have it right now. He's struggling. We'll get into that. But he stabilizes the game against Portland, has a monster second half. And then when they needed him last night, against the Boston Celtics, against a veteran like Al Horford, he's rolling to the basket. He's rebounding. He's blocking shots, those block shots on Jaylen Brown. Oh, it had me out of my seat. What about you guys at 888-957-9570? So we get to podium game. How about Jonathan Kuminga? Because we're going to talk a lot about the Splash Brothers and everybody on this roster. But Jonathan Kuminga, think about where he was at a couple weeks ago. He was out of the rotation against the Portland Trailblazers. And you think to yourself, how the hell was he out of the rotation? How? Well, he plays the last 17 minutes of that basketball game. The Warriors come back and win. And he hasn't looked back since. J.K. has 7 straight games where he scored in double figures. And you think about the lockdown defense on Jason Tatum at the end of regulation. You think about the finishing at the basket. And I look at J.K.'s stat line here. 1 turnover, and he did not commit a personal foul last night. And this is despite defending Jason Tatum, defending Jaylen Brown, defending all those great Celtic players. J.K. did not commit a foul, and he was 8 of 13 last night. Efficient. He scores to 17. He grabs 7 rebounds. He plays lockdown defense to the point where Steph Curry said, hey, get over here, young fella. That's what you do. That's what you do. So if you're not fired up about this team right now, because all we wanted to see was the young guns. Can the young guns play with the vets? Can the young guns play with the vets? That's all we were asking ourselves. Well, Draymond Green's out indefinitely. We don't know when he's coming back. Andrew Wiggins is up and down right now. So you got to lean on the youngsters. And you know what? The youngsters are coming through. The youngsters are coming through. And you know what? It's a great thing to see at Chase Center. This fan base is getting behind them. Stephen Curry's getting behind them. And then you got Klay Thompson, who entered the game in the last 3 on an absolute heater, averaging over 27 points a game, 55% from the three-point line. So Klay Thompson now has found his shot. You look at his last 14 games, 9 of those games, he scored at least 20. And I know he missed some big shots in overtime or whatnot, but I thought it was a very good game by Klay Thompson. And the ball is popping around. 29 assists. The turnovers. Look, nobody talked about this last night. We talked a little bit on our post-game show last night when Monty Poole and Festus Ezeli Lubman. But last night, in the second half, they've had a turnover problem all season long. All season long, they've had a turnover problem and a fouling problem. But you look at the first half, 8 turnovers, 10 points. They gave up off those turnovers. Well, you know what? In the second half, they commit a measly 2 turnovers and only give up 2 points off turnovers. So they cleaned up their act at the half. They took care of the basketball. Despite being down 17, it was able to get them extra possessions, extra shots. And then that's when Stephen Curry came through with the rainbow. That ball was in the air for about 55, 60 seconds. And he goes night-night on the Boston Celtics. And this is after Jaylen Brown when Jaylen Brown drew the 5th foul on Steph Curry midway through the third quarter. He did the whole too small thing. Hey, he's too small. He's too small. Well, you better be careful when you're playing to Steph Curry because it came back to bite him in the butt. And he went night-night. So what a win for the Golden State Warriors against the best team in the NBA, the best team in the Eastern Conference, who came into Chase Center winning 5 in a row. You got to feel good right now if you're a Dubs fan. Now, I don't know where this thing is going to go. I'm not saying they're going down to the NBA Finals. I'm not saying they're getting to the Western Conference Finals. This is a game-by-game process right now for the Golden State Warriors. But you're starting to see the growth. You're starting to see the growth of Kuminga. You're starting to see the growth of Moses Moody. You're seeing the growth of Brandon Pajitsky. You're seeing the growth of Trace Jackson Davis. And that is going to pay big-time dividends once we get to February, once we get to March, once we get around to the playoffs in April. And these guys are going to be ready to roll. And I'm feeling good right now about the Dubs as they go into Washington. They get 2 days off. Then they have a back-to-back against the Wizards and the Blazers. And think about where we were last week, Roasters. Think about where we were last week. They just got smoked by the Clippers. They were 10-14, 4 games under 500. We knew there was going to be no Draymond Green. How are they going to do this? How are they going to get back on track? Well, they beat the Brooklyn Nets Saturday, right? They nearly blow an 18-point lead, but they play one of the hottest offenses in the NBA, and they hold on. Then they go to Portland on the back-to-back, a team that was desperate for a win, that had lost 6 in a row. And they nearly blow a 22-point lead in that game. But they were on the 7-game losing streak on the road. And you know what? They come back. They hold on. They go ahead and seal the deal despite Stephen Curry scoring 7 points and not hitting a three-pointer for the first time in 268 games. And then you got to come back home and you play the Celtics. And everybody's thinking, oh, boy, the Celtics. It's going to be really tough. With Tatum and Brown playing so well, Drew Holiday. But you know what? You find a way. And the Warriors found a way yesterday. And they leaned on the youngsters. And that was the beautiful thing about last night. You leaned on TJD and Kuminga. So 888-957-9570. The Dubs come back to win their 3rd in a row. They're 1 game under 500. And we're going to talk all about it. Boy, I can't wait. Oh, what a game last night. I couldn't sleep last night, Roasters. I really couldn't. I'm thinking, how am I going to watch this game back? I can't get enough of it. So I watched the 4th quarter back when I got home. I watched the overtime back when I got home. And that was a mistake because I stayed up for another 30 minutes. And then I find out Spinone's sick, and I'm saying, well, it's just going to be me and Lubman. Lubman, get in here. What a game last night for the Golden State Warriors. They're gelling. And I think the most exciting part of this is that we're seeing the youngsters infuse some energy, some life into the veterans. And you can see it from Stephen Curry. You can see it from Klay Thompson. That's all we wanted to see this season. We want to see some of the youngsters, and we're starting to see them, and they're starting to play better.
No, Bonte, I think you said it best to start the show. I mean, this was the win of the year so far. Hopefully we'll get some better ones down the line. But this is one of those games that we're seeing the Warriors already on a small streak here. This is the kind of win that can spur an even bigger run here. I mean, they were a game or two below 500 now. A couple more games. They'll be above 500 going into this Christmas Day showdown with the Nuggets. This is one of those wins where you're just like, oh, yeah, it's all starting to come together. You're starting to see the vision. You saw last night a vintage Klay and Steph two-prong attack, especially in that 4th quarter. How many times have we buried Klay Thompson on this show?
I know.
Far too often for your liking. I know that.
Yeah.
And last night, we saw the Splash Brothers out en fuego last night. But no, I think the storyline is it's the young guys, and also it's just so much what the young guys are doing this week versus what they were doing last week.
Yep.
I mean, it's like you said it just a minute ago. Think where we were last week.
Yeah.
You're talking about Draymond Green being suspended indefinitely. Like, how often are we hearing about guys being suspended indefinitely like that? We did an entire show last week. I think it was Thursday. What's your one word for Draymond Green? And credit the Roasters. They came in with a thesaurus worth of words, just despondent, morose, toxic.
You think Jalen Hurts needed a dictionary? You think he needed it? We needed one last week describing Draymond Green with one word.
The Roasters were our dictionary last week. And
sure
it felt like the Warriors were at ultimate down bad last week. And then, they get the win against Brooklyn. It's like, all right, whatever. Maybe Brooklyn's not that great. Warriors are at home. They pull it out. Portland, another not great team. So it's 2 wins where it's like, great, you won, but I mean, like, you should, I guess, in theory, win those games. But then the big bad Celtics come to town last night, and the Celtics, their team, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, when they see that Warrior uniform, they got a little extra something to save from because, again, that uniform, they took a ring off their finger, they think. So they're trying to bring it in front of the Shea Center crowd. And for a second in that game last night, especially in that 3rd quarter, they turned what was like a 3-point lead at halftime to a 17-point lead halfway through the 3rd quarter. It's like, here we go again, 3rd quarter dubs. It used to be our quarter. Now it's literally the exact opposite. But then they flip the script, and it's all about those young guys.
It's all about those young
Trace
guys.
Jackson Davis, having a level of court vision you haven't seen from a Warriors big man in so long. And then Jonathan Kuminga, is this guy in his 3rd year in the league, or is he in his 7th year in the league?
Well, he's coming around here, Lubman. He's coming around here. He's playing some defense. He's learning on the fly. To think that he was out of the rotation a couple weeks ago. He was out of the rotation, folks. And Steve Kerr's looking for an answer. Guys getting in foul trouble. Wiggins is lost. And he comes in and saves the day against Portland. And he hasn't looked back. He has not looked back. 7 of the last 8, he scored in double figures. Let's get to Nick in San Jose. Oh, I love when Nick in San Jose is the first caller because he sets the tone. What up, Nick? How about them Dubs?
Hey, brother, I want to tell you right now, you, Chris Mullen, Festus are the leanest, best-looking guys on TV, man. Throwing a little Monty, too. Last night I could tell Monty was fired up. So I'm thankful for you. And Ludman, you did a great job right now, Ludman. Keep that up. So look, here I am with my 8-year-old boy now. We're down 17 points, and he says, Pi, is this the end of the dynasty? I said, we'll find out in 10 minutes. 30 minutes later, we come back and win. My son and I, it's raining outside. We go in my backyard and playing basketball and yelling in the residential street in Almaden Valley, Warriors! It was beautiful, brother. Now, here's the thing. The word is growth. If you look at Kuminga's eyes on the bench with Kerr during the timeout in overtime, he was locked in. And the way he defended Tatum at the end of the game, I am so proud of them, man. I am so proud of them. And Davis, you're right. We're getting spacing. We need a big guy that's athletic. I love Looney, but his body's beat up right now. We have a chance now to be 15-14 and enjoy the gift of Christmas going to the Mile High City in 5280. I love you guys. We did it. It was beautiful. And you know what? I fear no one. If we play like this, I fear no one, Bonte. I fear no one. The mojo's back, and Draymond will be humbled, I hope, by this. And you know what? We play like this, we can beat anyone, brother. I'm thankful for you guys. Yes, what do you think, Bonte? Talk to me. Do we have a chance?
We got a chance, Nick. We got a chance. Whenever you have a Stephen Curry, you've got a shot. When you have Steph, who's a top 10 player of all time, and we got a call from Shaquille O'Neal, who thinks that he's even better than that. We'll play that a little bit later. But Nick in San Jose, you're right. They do have a chance. Look, they've been part of 23 clutch games this season. So it's not like they've been getting blown out. They've been in games. They've blown double-digit leads on the road. We've seen that against the Clippers, all right? We've seen that against Sacramento. These guys are in the game. Now, they turned the ball over 10 times, the 5th time this season with 10 or fewer turnovers. That's a big thing. The fouls, not fouling in the second half, not fouling at all. The Warriors, they average 22 fouls a game. They're one of the worst teams when it comes to reaching and hacking. Last night, they commit just 15. That's what Stephen Curry with 5 fouls, and obviously was set on the foul trouble in that second half. And the way he was playing defense, the double teams coming in, helping out Stephen Curry. Come on now. Come on now. Maybe they are coming around. Maybe they are coming around. But seeing Trayce Jackson-Davis, and I was thinking last night while watching him, he's everything we wanted to James Wiseman. Screening and rolling and putting pressure on the rim. Now, Wiseman's just a different player, and you cannot excuse the experience in college. Brock Purdy, we talk about it all the time, 4-year starter, 4-year starter, 4-year starter. Well, Trayce Jackson-Davis was a 4-year starter in Indiana, and he played under Mike Woodson. So having that experience where James Wiseman played 3 college games and basically had a high school career, that's it. Wiseman pick and pop, wasn't a great screener, and then, of course, he gets hurt. Trayce Jackson-Davis understands his role. I'm going to screen, and I'm going to roll. I'm going to put pressure on the rim. But what surprised me last night was his defense. And the way he gets up off the ground, he's skying high for rebounds. The last 2 nights, the last 2 games, I'm like, wow, look at this guy get up off the ground and snatch rebounds. Look at him block shots. Jaylen Brown he comes down the lane, and the lane parts like the Red Sea in overtime. And I'm thinking, oh boy, this is going to be nasty. And TJD talked about it. We'll play this out in just a second. And he blocks that shot. And I was in the studio with Festus at the time, and I'll give you guys some behind-the-scenes look here in the studio. We're getting ready for overtime. We're getting ready for the post-game show. And TJG blocks that shot, and Fezzi goes, what happened? Couldn't really tell. I'm like, he just blocked it, and I got out of my seat, and I went nuts. Because I haven't seen a block shot like that in a Warrior uniform in a very long time. So for him to stuff that at the rim and send Jaylen Brown out of all players back home with that block shot, that was huge. Here's TJD on the block shot. Oh, need that potted up. Can't hear it. Let me know when you get everything potted up, Ludman. Relax there, but here we go. Go ahead, play it, Ludman.
I blocked a lot of shots. It felt good, especially he had it in his left hand, so I thought I had a chance. I thought I timed it right, and then at the end of the day, just instinct, go get the ball. So I did feel it, actually. It did bend back a little bit, but I'm just glad I got a piece because that would have been on SportsCenter. So
would have been on SportsCenter. But you were still on SportsCenter for the block shot. And Stephen Curry spoke about the youngsters stepping up for them. What a win last night, Roasters. I'm fired up. Are you fired up? In the rain, at Chase Center. And boy, they needed this one, rallying from a 17-point deficit in that third quarter. And quietly, he had a good game from Chris Paul. 9 points, 12 assists, 7 rebounds. And he couldn't buy a bucket in the first 3 quarters. But he hit 2 key shots. 2 key shots to go into the fourth quarter. I think those are huge. It's going to get overlooked. But overall, the Warriors are humming right now, winning 3 straight, 6 in a row at Chase Center. And guess what, folks? 9 of the next 10 are at home. So this is a great opportunity to stack some wins, build some confidence. And then when Draymond gets back, we'll see where we're at. But I think Steve Kerr's going to have a tough time with this rotation here because you got to play Kuminga. You got to play TJD. You have to play Moses Moody. And now you got Clay and Steph rolling. What a win, Roasters. Oh,